Hello everyone, I'm Syahirah. Many customers nowadays are already aware of the importance of maintaining green natural resources in order to ensure our life sustainability. There are a lot of costs to be incurred in order to produce a product that are intended to buy by our customer. One of the costs is environmental costs. Environmental cost is the cost incurred by a company to prevent, monitor, and also report any environmental impacts, and also the cost of failing to comply with environmental regulations. There are two types of environmental costs, which is internal costs and also external costs. Internal cost is the cost incurred by the company that only influence themselves only and not giving any impact to the society. For example, the cost of inspection of a product to make sure it is regulations compliant. Next is cost for training employees, and the last one is the cost to pay for fines or any taxes that are environmental related. For external costs is a cost that are directly attributed to society. For example, is pollution, carbon emission, and also energy usage. These costs somehow are giving impacts to the social and economics. To see further on how these costs attribute to the social and economic impacts, let us ask Sasha and Hawani regarding this matter.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So now I will explain to you guys about what is economic impact. Basically, it is an impact of an organization activities on the economy's infrastructure and its financial relationship with the government. It also involves costs to enhance environmental factor. There are three examples of cost measures that are related to economic impact. The first one is cost of packaging. One of the first environmental program basic principle is the polluter pays. Cost of packaging in this term can be from switching the packaging material from the one that can give bad impact to the environment to the packaging that is more friendly. For example, switching the uses of plastic bag to paper bag, which is easier to decay and recycle. Next is the cost to minimize amount of waste dumped to river and air emissions. Highlight here is the discharge from the manufacturing factory. For example, the installation of the electrostatic filter in the smokestack to remove dust and scrubber that is a water filter to remove harmful gases. Companies that dump their waste into the river must obtain permission from the environmental authority on their waste content and amount they are allowed to release. Company might find this troublesome and costly, but it can prevent them from paying high environment taxes or being imposed to penalty. The next example of the cost that involve in economic impact of the environmental cost is the cost of water treatment plant. This cost incurred when the company decided to make their own water treatment plant. The wastewater from the factory will be channeled into the plant and the company can reuse the water after a thorough treatment. The test of the final product and also research are also included as a cost as they are needed to develop the plant. The last example will be the cost of collecting and disposing waste. Who does not know Trinacans, a Sarawak waste management company that collect our household waste, commercial waste, bulky waste, and even hazardous waste. Companies incur these costs when they pay the waste management company to collect and dispose their waste for them. So, how do we measure economic impact? The method used to measure economic impact of environmental costs is environmental accounting method. Environmental accounting method is a field that identifies resource use, measures, as well as communicate costs of a company's or national economic impact on the environment. The cost includes our cost of cleanup or remediate fine, penalty and taxes, purchase of pollution prevention technology, and waste management company. It enables to report the economic impact of those decisions to stakeholders. It also allows proactive decision making about processes that simultaneously meet environmental regulation with adding to the bottom line. So that's all for the economic impact. Now I will pass to the next presenter, Noor Hawani, for the further explanation on the social impact.
Thank you, Alya. Hi everyone. Next, I'm going to explain the social impact of environmental costs. I will explain to you what is the definition of social impact, what are the elements of social impact, and how to measure it. Now, what is social impact? It is defined as the portion of the total outcome that happens as a result of the activity that affects the company stakeholder relationships that involves the internal and external stakeholders. I am very sure that you already know what are the examples of internal and external stakeholders, right? Yes, you are correct. Internal stakeholders are employees, managers, board of directors, while external stakeholders are customers, suppliers, and government agencies. Okay, so now let's take a look on the four main elements of social impact. The main elements of social impact are input, output, outcome, and impact. Input resources invested to make something happen and is measured as a cost. The output is a direct result of the business objective or goal. The outcome is the changes to people resulting from the activity occur over a longer period. And lastly, impact. The impact is the outcome less an estimate of what would have happened anyway. Now let us use an example of training and online business program. The cost for training and online business program is the input. The output here is the number of participants in training and online business program. For example, 25 people learned how to create an advertisement on their online business as a result of the training program. Next, the outcome is the number of people that started an online business and improved their personal circumstance as a result from the training program. Lastly, the impact should be the numbers of people, let's say 20 out of 25 businessmen who are able to develop the online application for their business as a result of this training program. Next, we will move on to the ways on how to measure social impact. So how can we measure the social impact? Let me tell you. First of all, it is important for an organization to study the output that needs to be measured. Therefore, the organization should have an objective and goal that include the theory of change. What is the theory of change? The theory of change is a framework to measure social impact by making an explicit relationship between activities and desired outcomes. Secondly, any organization needs to know the objective of different stakeholders, and it will lead to the sources of value creation. First, to measure the value creation, they need to identify and prioritize the stakeholders' needs. Then, consult with the stakeholders to ascertain common priorities as well as to measure progress towards achieving the main objective. Next, they need to understand how their organization's objectives match with stakeholders' objectives. Lastly, the organization needs to tell the stakeholders what they are doing well, where they could improve, and what the future goals are. The third way to measure social impact is by doing the social return on investment analysis. It is a way to monetize the value of social impacts of an organization's activity or program in financial terms. It is when the social value will be compared with the cost of making the project happen. For example, the investors look for evidence of the social impact that results from their investment in the project. It is a ratio of the net present value of benefits to the net present value of the investment. It shows the social value creation based on the initial investment, which can be calculated by dividing the value of social impact with the investment required. Through this ratio, an organization can give a simple and clear indicator of their value created for its stakeholders.
Okay, next I will pass to Syahirah for the importance of economic and social impact.
Thank you, Hawani. There are a few importance of economic and social impact. The first importance is obtaining or maintaining a license to operate. By showing the positive sides of our company to the stakeholder, it will give opportunities for the company to obtain the new license to operate or maybe maintaining the license that has been obtained. The second importance is improving the business enabling environment. It is for the company to show the policymakers that their business activities are contributing to the public policy goals. The third importance is strengthening value chains. It will give a better equip for the company to predict the performance and the capacity of the growth of the company itself and also their stakeholders such as supplier and also distributor. And the last importance is fueling product and service innovation. It will help the company to understand the needs, resources and also the incentive of their customers. This somehow will enable them to develop a new products and all services and maybe also can help them improve their existing offerings. So now, we shall see the examples that are related to this matter. So Khairul, Bariah, can you explain further regarding this matter?
One of the biggest issue in Malaysia last year is Kim Kim River issues. Kim Kim River is located at Pasir Gudang, Johor. As we know, Pasir Gudang is one of the main industrial hub in Malaysia for transportation, shipbuilding, logistics and heavy industries. All of these activities is automatically contribute to the water pollution in Kim Kim River. A total of 2.43 tons of chemical waste have been collected from Kim Kim River during the cleaning process on the day the incident was reported. So, what is actually happened on the Kim Kim River?
On 6 March 2019, the toxic chemicals dumped in Sungai Kim Kim. The next day, 2 schools shut after students and employees fall ill. The distance between Sungai Kim Kim and SK Taman Pasir Puteh is about only 0.5 kilometers. Then, on 12 March 2019, students from another 2 schools affected by fumes. The total of 38 schools were closed. All 111 schools in Pasir Gudang ordered to shut. 20 June 2019, 15 students at Sekolah Agama Taman Mawar fall ill with breathing difficulties and vomiting. The Malaysia Health Minister says it could be exposure to poisonous gas. On 25 June 2019, all schools in Pasir Gudang ordered shut for 3 days, including 111 primary and secondary schools, 3 institutions of higher education, 14 private and international schools, and nearly 350 private kindergartens.
The pollution gives big impact to environment, economy and social to Kim Kim River. Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change Minister during that year, which is Ms. Yeo Bee-yin, claims the state has stepped up enforcement against Iran factories in Pasir Gudang. Removing pollutants from the 1.5 kilometer stretch of Kim Kim River, chemicals were illegally dumped will cost approximately 6.5 million ringgit. She said that the cost of the cleaning operation as a whole would be more than 10 million ringgit. The chemical waste pollution in Pasir Gudang since March 2019 has led to a decline in catch and fishermen sales to drop, the marine life destroyed. Orang asli live off the sea used to fishing and catch the crab to sell it to the market says there are no longer any fish or crab in the seas in front of their village. Now, people start to ask who is going to pay all that? Who should take responsibility from this incident? The result from the investigation, a lorry driver who directly threw the chemical waste into the river and the 3 directors of the company that produced the chemical waste are being charged at the session court and they need to receive the punishment once being verified their faults. In conclusion, the incident has increased the awareness of the public on pollution issues. There are lots of lessons we should learn from these issues. There is a quote which says, mistakes are made, lessons are learned. Therefore, for every mistake we make, we must be able to learn something valuable from it. All activities involve environment will give an impact to the social and economy. It is whether a negative or positive impact. We need to protect our environment in order to have a better quality of life and ensure our future generation will be able to use the resources that we have now. Since environment is natural resources that will extinct from the time to time and cannot be replaced once it is polluted.
Okay, now let's take a look at other initiatives in environmental related to management accounting. Most significant impacts on the environment from the operations of the companies occur in the supply chain. Examples of environmental impacts are hazardous air emission, water pollution, long-term damage to the ecosystem, toxic waste and deforestation. All these impacts not only causes damage to the environment but also can cause harm to the public. Therefore, the initiative of creating environmental supply chain management has been done to reduce it. It is through the engagement with the suppliers and applying the precautionary approach, environmental legal compliance, and strategic and continuous environmental improvement in the supply chain. The practical initiative steps in the implementation of environmental supply chain management are through the use of eco-labeling and guidelines on responsible supply chain management. Eco-labeling is labeling that is environmentally certified and practiced around the world. Eco-labeling helps to identify and provide verification on environmentally friendly products. As a way to promote eco-labeling schemes, companies are encouraging their suppliers to get their own product eco-label or by inviting suppliers to be part of the eco-labeling program and thereby contributing with some selected components to an eco-label product. Other than that, guidelines on responsible supply chain management like Global Social Compliance Program and ISO 26000 are used. Global Social Compliance Program acts as a platform for the exchange of knowledge and practices to be comparability and transparency of the existing system as well as to keep the awareness on an applicable legal requirement. Meanwhile, ISO 26000 provides direction on operating business in a responsible way. It is an international guidance standard on social responsibility that includes the environment to be applied in the supply chain. Let's take Walmart, an American multinational retailer corporation, as an example. Walmart started the environmental supply chain management initiatives and applied them in every process of the supply chain, such as sourcing, logistics, and packaging. For example, in terms of packaging, Walmart encourages its suppliers to use eco-friendly packaging and get the certified eco-labeling by conforming to the requirements criteria. Walmart also took the initiatives to be one of the task force in the Global Social Compliance Program, where they prepare the Global Compliance Report every year.
Okay, that's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter for the other initiatives.
Thank you, my friends. There are a lot of initiatives that have been done in environmental. I will explain on the initiative done to retrieve air pollution. First, eco-friendly oriented. Then, government initiative and also other initiatives. There are many companies in Malaysia that have operated based on eco-friendly oriented. I'll take these three companies as my examples. The first company is Malaysia Airlines or MAS. Some initiatives that they did are reducing fuel consumption by flying more direct routes and at the most economical speed. They are also practicing a descent approach, which is their flight will have constant angle descent to landing instead of doing a stair-step landing. They also flying lighter and cleaner aircraft to improve fuel efficiency. This somehow will reduce air pollution. Next, let's look at Digi, which is a telecommunication provider company. They launched Digi Sustainability Program, which involves swapping all equipment with newer, more energy efficient ones and reducing air conditioning usage. This will help to reduce excessive use of energy that cause air pollution and also will thinner the ozone layer. Lastly, Panasonic Malaysia, which is a manufacturer and supplier of electronic products. Initiatives that they did are promoting the inverter technology, which adjusts the power consumption of various electronic devices and reduces the total consumption of energy. They also use almost no lead in its product. Hence, if recycled, very little lead is released to the environment. Next, there are also a few initiatives that have been made by government. I will highlight one big initiative that has been invented that helps many people, which is on the invention of an application to check the level of air quality index, which is My IPU. This application can be downloaded in our smartphones. This is important for us to check the level of air quality at the place we lived. After obtaining the result, then we can consider to continue doing our activity outside our house. If the level of health concern of air quality index at our place showing unhealthy level or even worse level, we should just stay at home and take other precautions to avoid us and our family from getting sick. Lastly, there are other initiatives that have been done by many companies in sustaining environmental. It might seem a small initiative, but this somehow helps to reduce air pollution. The first initiatives are conserving energy by turning off lights, computers, air conditioners, and other appliances when not in use. Next, factories improved machineries or manufacturing processes to reduce emissions such as smoke from factories. Next, Firm replace lights in factory to energy efficient bulbs which can reduce the usage of energy. Firm also have a proper maintenance of boiler. For example, blowing dust from surface, which is reduced excess air, can reduce air pollution from industries. Next, factory also switch from coal and oil to natural gas. This also can extend plants' life by eliminating corrosion from fuels. Lastly, companies choose non-toxic materials to manufacture goods such as raw materials and additives containing mercury and leads and replace them with non-hazardous alternatives. With the application of these initiatives, it not only helps to reduce air pollution and heal the nature, but also can reduce the cost attributable for the production of products. So now, let us see my other friends explaining about the other initiatives that have been done.
The next initiative that will be discussed in Environmental Management Accounting is the initiative to reduce water pollution by practices of waste management. The example of waste produce can be categorized into liquid and also solid waste. Both are dangerous to the environment and impact the organization if not treated accordingly. Organizations to undertake the initiative for solid and liquid waste then released to stream or ocean. Environmental accounting for waste management can be based on three different perspectives comparable to the true pictures of environmental accounting, such as accounting for monetary and physical flows in waste streams and activities. Under this perspective, there are a lot of ways to handle the waste produced by not polluting the water. It can be in terms of conversion, recycling, composting, material recovery, and etc. For example, companies can make their own water treatment plant to treat and reuse the liquid waste. It is important for an organization to understand cause of each waste activities and flow path to identify the whole cause for the system. The next perspective is accounting for hidden environmental costs of waste streams. In these features, it involves the indirect costs, such as administrative costs, waste education, reporting and auditing costs. For example, the cost to raise awareness and educate the stakeholders about the waste and streams or ocean care. This cost should be taken into consideration or decision making to ensure there is sufficient resource to reduce costs. The last features of environmental accounting is accounting for external environmental impacts of waste streams. It can be known as a cost to comply with rules and regulations to avoid fines and also legal action. For example, cost to obtain permission from the environmental authority on waste content and amount an organization are allowed to release to the stream or oceans. The example of current initiative in Malaysia is water treatment plant. There are few companies that use this initiative as they can recycle and reuse the water after thorough treatment. It may be costly, but it can be used for a long-term run and performance. It can also minimize the cost on externalities such as penalty and fines. The next initiative is bioremediation project. Basically, it was plan made by government prior to the current issue, which is Selangor water pollution. It can be used for solid and liquid waste. This initiative helps to restore the quality of water and process of turning the solid waste into soil. Bioremediation also is a natural process with no harmful effect to the nature.
Thank you, Sasha. So next, let's take a look on the initiative that we can use to reduce the deforestation.
The effect on the forest is habitat loss, climate change, mass extinction, and soil erosion. Humans too greedy on using the nature resources to achieve this outcome.
The first initiative is a commitment to no deforestation.
Previously, we have talked about what is life cycle costing, right? Within the context of environmental accounting, life cycle costing is a technique which requires the full environmental consequences and therefore costs arising from productions of a product to be taken into account across its whole life cycle, literally from cradle to grave. Part of environmental costs that should firm take into consideration is environmental, prevention costs, detection costs, also internal and external failure costs. Since all the costs are taken into consideration, the environmental accountant should think of how to reduce the cost of the production. Pollution will indirectly increase the cost of the industry, which is the cost to recover the failure. No deforestation helps to regain control of sustainable managed traditional territories and fight against human rights abuses frequently associated with logging, pulp and paper mills, mining and other extractive industries. Therefore, we can consider to apply the green concept. What is the green concept?
The next initiative is comply to regulations and voluntary standards.
Accountants have a set responsibility which vary significantly from job to job, such as understanding highly technical material such as resource management and outcomes, as well as assign reasonable values under the law in order to satisfy accounting principles to assess drastic evaluations and remediations, asset depreciation or appreciation, or sound investments. There are lots of acts that have been regulated by different agencies in Malaysia, such as this, and this. All the acts that have been set by the government is only to ensure there is no tremendous damage on our forests. The firm have to comply with the rules and regulation to ensure that there will be no further action or more serious action to be taken by the authorities.
That's all from us. Thank you.
Apapun mereka bilang, tekadku takkan hilang. Jalanku masih panjang, garis akhir yang ku pandang. Apapun mereka bilang, tekadku takkan hilang. Jalanku masih panjang, garis akhir yang ku pandang. Apapun mereka bilang, tekadku takkan hilang. Jalanku masih panjang, garis akhir yang ku pandang. Apapun mereka bilang, tekadku takkan hilang. Jalanku masih panjang, garis akhir yang ku pandang. Apapun mereka bilang, tekadku takkan hilang. Jalanku masih panjang, garis akhir yang ku pandang. Apapun mereka bilang, tekadku takkan hilang. Jalanku masih panjang, garis akhir yang ku pandang.